Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. So it is really late since I started stream, so it'll probably only be like, I don't know, maybe 2.5 hours per stream, but I want to keep these streams shorter than I usually stream for anyway, because I usually stream for like 4 hours if I'm playing any other game, but when it's a game where I have to read everything out loud and it just like kills my voice, I want to stream for shorter periods of time. So tonight I started really late, and I also want to like not lose my voice, so I'll probably only, so it's like it's 9:20 right now for me, so I'll probably only go for like, I don't know, 2.5-3 hours maybe. We'll see. Okay, so last night we left off with Nina just about to tell us what happened. We found out the speckled band was a cat toy because she was trying to get her cat to come back from the vent, which she was not supposed to have. And then I stopped it right before she told us what happened. Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. That is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it? Okay, I'm gonna go into options for a second because it looks like the game audio is very low. Oh, there's no... Okay. There's actually no volume settings in the game. So I'm gonna go into Streamlabs settings. See if I can turn it up. I don't know if I can turn it up anymore. Alright, well, I mean, I don't think... Oh, I don't want to exit. No, back. No, I don't want to quit. There we go. Back to title? No. Just exit. Okay. Well, I guess the sound isn't hugely important for this game. I don't know if I can turn it up anymore in Streamlabs, though. I mean, it sounded fine last night, but I don't know why it's, like, super quiet now. Maybe I need to turn the volume on my computer up. Okay, let's see how that does. Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed to have Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it was safe to try to lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy, I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Buria is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Okay, so... he tripped over the cat, or he stepped on the bell. But somebody had to... that wasn't the cause of death, though. Because they were talking about that earlier, about how he could have, like, fallen and broken his neck. But then somebody had to have written the message after. Because the autopsy says he died instantly. Although, as we've seen in the Phoenix Wright games, sometimes autopsies are wrong, or they're faked, or like some new evidence comes in that makes the autopsy report change. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? Yeah, and where did it even come from if it's not hers? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from? That's what I just said. I just said it. I feel like I say all the things Ryanosuke says right before he says it. What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board the ship? Oh, I didn't say? No, you didn't. Snake is my friend. His name is Perosco. What? What? That snake belongs to you? Okay, so maybe that's what the mousetrap is doing outside. He was catching mice for the snake. He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. And how did nobody notice a snake? Ha, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without a close friend, without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Sure you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in? No venom. Perosco does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but gentle. He is adorable, like Granny. It's venomless? Yeah, there's a lot of snakes that don't have venom. Now he's hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him, what? Milk, I suppose? Ha, like they say they milk chickens? What? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Perosco eats mouses, big fat brown mouses. Ah, oh, so is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Oh, I was right. Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. It refuses to drink milk, it can't hear a whistle, it can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? What? A starring role? It's not my fault, I do not make up stories. My Perozco has nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Is it? This is still very early in the case. I don't think that's it. I think there's much more to come. Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. Oh, wow. Susato. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikatoba? Francisco, hey, thank you so much for coming in. How are you? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? I think it was... To be perfectly honest, yes. I mean, I think it was the truth about what happened with her cat, but she's not gonna know what really happened to Kazuma. I think she's told us all she knows. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. Okay, well, I'll have to hear that again. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Hey, I'm doing good, glad to be here. Well, I'm glad that you're here. How was your day? Any weekend plans? Ah, not again. When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man, the deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yeah. Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. It's what we've been trying to do. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. Nah, just relaxing. Yeah, same here. I may be streaming tomorrow night. Probably not Sunday night. Well, how was your week? The truth about how you really died, about how the scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What should we ponder first? Is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? No, it doesn't. That's what I've been saying all along. I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Because of the message written. Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. Okay, so we are going to save here first. Just in case. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. Okay, so just to be sure, let's look over all of these. Yeah, so I think it is the picture where he wrote the message. Or, wait a minute. Okay, let me look at the autopsy report. The victim's neck was almost certainly broken as a result of a strong blow to the area. Okay, I think it's either the autopsy report or the picture where he wrote the message. Because why would he be... Well, first of all, the autopsy report says he died instantly, so he couldn't have written the message. And then also, but even if he did, why would he write a message? My week was uneventful. I'm trying to figure out how polytopes relate to story structure, so I'm ruminating on it hardcore in full procrastination mode. How about yourself? I hope your week was good. My week was good, thank you. It wasn't too eventful either. I just worked all week. I have a full-time job as a business analyst. I wish I could do just like streaming and content creation full-time, but I'm not there yet. So I just worked all week, and I do some modeling too. So I was doing some stuff for my modeling agency because my modeling, well, I have two modeling agencies, and one of them is running this kind of like a model boot camp for some of the models right now, and I'm one of the mentors, so I had to go in and just kind of like help guide the models through some stuff. But that was about it for me. Oh, and I weighed my dog today at Petco because he's a pretty big boy for his breed, and I wanted to see how much he weighs now. He's a border collie, and like and he's a boy, so you know he's gonna be bigger. He's gonna be like one of the bigger ones than like if I had a girl. So at like their max size on average, they're 50 pounds, and he's at 55 pounds. So he's pretty big. He actually scared some little girls at Petco that wanted to pet him because he was like as tall as they were, and he didn't like, I mean, he wasn't like attacking them or anything. I think they just got kind of like scared of his size. All right, so let's try to present the picture, I think, first, and then we'll see. So what do you mean, Francisco, by how polytopes relate to story structure? Is that why you're interested in games like these?
Yes!
I mean, I don't know what a polytope is. Truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. Okay, so that was the right piece of evidence. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language, Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. And Ryanosuke would know if he was studying Russian. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And that reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae is resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah. Which means after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So Susada-san has noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Wait, what are we talking about now? Okay, so I'm gonna have to save here. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words, another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident? Wait, I don't know what they mean. What would prove this wasn't an accident? What else would prove this wasn't an accident? A piece of small glass object and what looks to be like a scuff mark made by Kazuma's shoes were found by the victim's body. Maybe this because his body was dragged? I'm a little confused. So they're saying it was something found in the room. So I guess it could be that the mark on the floor or the paper seal, maybe? But I don't see how that would relate. Okay, well, I saved, so I think it might be this. We'll try it. Yes! This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. Okay, that was it. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw, a fatal flaw. What? If that's what really happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that wastepaper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Okay, so yeah, I did find the other half of the bell, but I guess I didn't put that together. I guess I just figured that half the bell broke off and fell to the floor, and then the other half just stayed on the collar. But that was, I mean, I was only right because that was the only thing that fit, but I guess I just didn't put that part together. Cool, polytopes are just basic shapes extended into higher dimensions, but it turns out they help solve problems from everything to particle interactions to chemicals and even human psychology. Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. So when you say you're trying to figure out how polytopes relate to story structure, like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of story structure? Because I feel like, you know, games like these, it sounds like, I mean, I don't know what any of those that means really, but I mean, it sounds like it might relate to games like these, because these are very like story-based logic puzzle games. Both of these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion, that when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. But then why would she didn't know Ryan Nasuke was in the wardrobe. Why would she write wardrobe? Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi's. You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only one other person in cabin when young student died was you. Yes! It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left the message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And also, he did point out earlier that the piece of paper that said keep out was on the doors when they came in the morning. So he couldn't have shut himself inside and then put the paper on the door. And then the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder then that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Well, yeah. We were just talking about how it was you. But I don't think it is her. Seaman Stroganov. Nina is woman of sea. She's daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on the ship, a member of ship's band. Oh. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal? Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, this is almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You are a great detective, you should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin, not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible. No, the door locked after the ship stopped or made a sudden turn. There's a game called Fold It that computer scientists created to get gamers to help them solve protein folding problems. I wonder if natural language AI could generate conversations in a pattern that can be reasoned about. Oh, interesting. Protein folding problems? What's that? Oh, he's right. Oh wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find in any modern steamship, constructed of heavy steel, with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Sasato-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? What? Well, we did talk about it before, but Sasato is the one that said that it would have been impossible because the doors are airtight. So Seaman Stroganov has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside? One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Okay, so what I'm thinking, from inside the cabin... Okay, so, I mean, I was thinking before, like, somebody would ring the alarm, because apparently anybody can just ring it. But if it has to be inside the cabin, I mean, I'm guessing it's this... I mean, this is like a speaker or something, right? So somebody made a false report about crashing into something so that the ship would suddenly stop or make a sudden turn so the bolt would slide into place. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. Okay, so we're gonna save again. Okay, so let me see if I can inspect stuff first before I can present it. Can I inspect this? No. Oh, I can't inspect anything. Okay, so we're gonna try to present this, I guess. Or wait a minute. What about the books? Okay, so I think it's either the books or oh, you can't see it because from my camera because my camera's in the way. Okay, so I'm gonna move my camera for a second. So there's this little, I don't even know what that's called, but I don't know if that's something you like talk into or if it's something that is just like used as like a speaker. So I'm thinking maybe point out the books because we're saying then that you know all the books so all the books, you know, they all toppled over to this direction, and then that's the same way the bolt goes too. So it goes over to the left. All the books slid over to the left. So did the statue. Okay, so I think it is the books that we need to present.
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe. Yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia acting on the objects. Is there nothing Susato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book, at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. Ah. It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello, is anyone in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like Inspector Hasanaga. Oh, yes. I'm surprised Asada didn't figure that out. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the forcer of ineptia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed, the SS Buria made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. Wait, so nobody else remembers the ship stopping that night? And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Or even if the ship stopped when everybody was asleep, wouldn't everybody's books be toppled over like this? Because, so we went into this cabin and then, like, they were saying that in Kazuma's cabin, all the exact same books and the statue was there too. I mean, maybe because this is the first class cabin area, so maybe it's just the first class cabins that have this bookshelf with all the books and the statue. But wouldn't like the sailors know that they had made a stop? And then there's gotta be, like, this is cabin number 2, I think. Like, Kazuma had cabin number 1. I think this is cabin number 2. So there has to be more than one first-class cabin in here. Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You say Buria made an emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? One example of protein folding is how our immune system fights infections by finding the right protein shape to take down a virus. It's almost like the way a detective tries to identify the culprit in a mystery. Ah. Okay, so it's like what I'm doing now. So nobody remembers this? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room? I mean, it's possible. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm? No, I didn't. That's what I was just talking about. Well, okay, I guess I wasn't just... Well, I was just talking about it, because I was saying, like, I thought it would be the alarm outside, but we can't go out there, so I used the books as evidence. But I was saying in an earlier stream, when I was investigating the alarm, I was like, what? And so just, like, anybody can raise the alarm? Oh, yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there? Telling you only to press the button in times of emergency. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, it's like a fire alarm. Like, anyone can press a fire alarm. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Heyo, Tiny Tina, hello, how are you doing? Thank you so much for coming in. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. What? No. Bad Herlock Sholmes. Wait, it was you? Wait, Herlock Sholmes pressed it? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Oh, so he pressed it, okay, he pressed it earlier. Not in the middle of the night when Kazuma died. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. Okay? He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You're in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. Doing good, glad to be here. My throat is sore due to doing gremlin and witch screams, so I'm taking lozenges and it's soothing. Wait, gremlin and witch screams? Why are we doing gremlin and witch screams? But I'm sorry that your throat is sore, Tiny Tina. Yeah, I can imagine that would be hell on your throat. Like, cause like I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, I was saying that I don't think I'm gonna do streams playing as long, like playing these kinds of games where I have to read everything out loud because it just like kills my voice. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You are idiots. Berea is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make an emergency stop even in the middle of the night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? So, I'm actually not sure, but I think it's either the fact that... It's either the diary, the fact that Kazuma just stopped writing in the middle of an entry, or it's the log, that there was nothing written in the log. I think it's the log. I'm gonna go with the log. But I'm planning for a barbecue and doing a pork joint with applewood and with some rubs and sauces. Ooh, that sounds really good. I love barbecues. Yes! Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship. Isn't that right? Duh, that is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine. Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is... duh, because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write "nothing to report," wouldn't you? Gulp. Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the SS Berea. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish. If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. Yes, but... okay, that's what I said earlier. However, now I'm thinking, like, everybody had a headache, right? Like, everybody was waking up with a headache. So maybe whoever did this put something in everybody's food, like drugged them so they wouldn't wake up. So nobody would even know an emergency stop happened. Because Ryan Asuke didn't wake up at all. Like, he didn't even know Kazuma died until he woke up this morning and got dragged out of the wardrobe. And then Hasanaga said he woke up with a headache and still had one. Susato said she still had a headache. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Ah. Oh yes, I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. I suspected too. He's right, my head's been throbbing today too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes, sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Ah, well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? Ah, so he was supposed to have been drugged. My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? That's what I said. Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. Or, I mean, no, not every member of the crew had to be a conspirator. They just had to go put it, like, they just had to go to the galley or the kitchen and put it in the food that was served out. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, Seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew and the captain himself would be hauled over to the coals. Would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. Eh? I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. So there's more to her story? These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right, we put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. Ah, we could not make all drug. How do you say, dissolve? Ugh, talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by comrades on shore with a small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SS Beria slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Oh, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins. After which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway. And so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass so to reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told a busy night. But I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. Are we speaking English? Because in the last case, we didn't know English. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I'm quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? You hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind? What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No, you must hear it with your eyes. For observation is the basis of all deduction. You must hear it with your eyes? What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. Oh, it's one of these again. We just did like 3 of these in a row. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow. Just as I said, of these 2... I do not know this word. Prevaricators? Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate the evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these 2 was there when it happened. Precisely, you are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. What suggests that someone else was there at the scene? Left ear. Okay. Can we investigate? Yes, we can. She has such petite ears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells, okay? Oh, what's that? There's something dangling down from her ear. Ah, that's an earring. The crescent moon part looks as though it's made from wood. It's charming, isn't it? Women do seem to love adornments like that. In their hair, around their necks, on their fingers, and even hanging from their ears, it seems. He's right. I do love adornments. Well, jewelry is beautiful, Naruhodo-san. Logic and reason ain't no joke. I'm shook. Really isn't. We gotta make sure that we're right on this. Oh. Ooh, ink stain. Ah, it was him. But let's see what else we can investigate here. Chunky arms. He has arms like tree trunks, doesn't he? Hairy tree trunks. Yes, he certainly has sailor's arms. He's a born man of the sea. Even if I had been awake, I couldn't have done anything about being dragged out of the wardrobe by this man. Naruhodo-san? Are you alright? You seem to be lost in thought. Oh, sorry. Blame those hairy tree trunks. Okay. These games can get so weird. Okay. I don't think there's anything else I can investigate, actually. Right ear. Well, we've got the right ear. Oh, she's missing an earring. Oh, what's that? There's something attached to her ear. Ah, I expect that's what's called an earring. It's a little piece of jewelry. An earring, is it? It really is tiny. Perhaps part of it is missing. Maybe it broke off. So now all that's left is the clasp part that attaches to the ear. If that's the case, she doesn't appear to have noticed that it's broken. Okay, so that's also suspicious. Why is she missing an earring? I mean, I guess that'll come into play later, but for now, we know that this ink stain right here, that's very sus. Oh, look at this. It's some kind of stain in an unusual place. Yes, you're right. It looks like ink, if I'm not mistaken. Ink. And look at the color, too. It's clear where this came from. Okay, so... that's definitely what I need to present. However, why would the ink stain be on his back? Like, if he wrote the message, why would it be on his back? Okay, well, we'll find out.
Yes!
Demon Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain? What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves that's what that stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff uniform really is. It's... well, we're gonna say it first, but It's gotta be that picture of Kazuma's body with the spilled ink bottle. Oh, wait a minute. The ink bottle's not in the picture. Okay. What caused the purple stain? Wait, but what else could I present? The Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink. Okay, well, so even though the picture doesn't show the spilled ink bottle, this still has to be it because we know that it's purple ink. BRB shower. All right, Francisco. Yes! Yes, it's this photograph and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink? A rather unusual color of ink, purple. Ah! Ah, the penny drops. At last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilled. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in dead student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Buria do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. Okay, so he did all that stuff, but it was to protect Nina. He didn't kill Kazuma. But he's okay, so he knew that Ryan Nasuke was there. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Biff, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty, patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheep. Biff, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor? Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova. Da. Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph? Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well... If Kazuma tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, why would he be lying face up, is what I think Sholmes is saying. Which part of this photographic print seems unnatural? I mean, I don't know where to... I think it's that he's face down, but I don't really know exactly where to present.
Yes!
It must be here, surely. Nope, that wasn't it. Allow me to offer you a piece of advice regarding the pursuit of detection, my dear fellow. When noting a crucial point, it could be helpful to keep your eyes open. They were open. And it could be equally helpful to use them. Okay. Sorry. I'll try that. Okay. I think it's plain what Mr. Sholmes mean by unnatural, isn't it? The word written in a foreign language underneath his fingertips, surely. That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. No, I mean to identify another point. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. Would you land as the victim has? What of your hands? You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with some regularity. This should be an easy task. Why do I? If Kazuma tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of the photographic print seems unnatural? Maybe his... Okay, so I guess his hand, maybe? Maybe his fist? Because he would have had his fist... Or he would have had his hand open to try and break his fall?
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. Okay, so that was it. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there? My dear fellow? I don't know. Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? Oh, that's where her earring went. This is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. Very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks... It looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe, find the answer with your own eyes. Okay, well, I already know the answer to that because we already investigated.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, I noticed that on your ear, even though you have a metal earring, the decorative part of it seems to be missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose. Eh? What? But looking at your other ear, I notice a crescent moon. Ah. I don't believe it. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. So she was there when he was alive? In other words, last night in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Oh, Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Ah. When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin and I could relax after this horrible, long day. Darka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darka would not come back. So she knocked on his door. Okay. Clunk. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. So she talked to Kazuma. The young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin... Just a moment. Sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah. Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No. I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on the ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away? Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And as he turned around to look at me, I pushed him. What? So she did kill him? I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. Oh my god. So he was going to ask Ryanosuke. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help? From Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on the floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door. Yes. I went into cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nino... Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway. In wardrobe. Still sleeping. Right. That's when he found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Sasato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to a good place and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote wardrobe so that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. Okay, I mean, I don't actually know how to pronounce that in Russian, but we know that says wardrobe. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway? Yes. Accordingly, the SS Buria did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There's one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes, what action was the victim really about to take at the moment? He was coming to get me. He was going to ask... Not me, Ryanosuke. Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? Whither the young man's gaze was directed. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? Where was Kazuma really looking? Okay, so we can investigate some stuff here. I know it's not the bell cord, but I want to investigate anything anyway. The bell cord. So Miss Pavlova thought he was just coldly ignoring her request and going to pull the cord. But the Kazuma I knew would never have done something like that. No, I'm sure of it. His bed. I remember him being annoyed about the pillow. He said it was too thin. Didn't he put that big, thick book of Japanese law underneath it, in fact? Perhaps he was thinking of looking something up. Either that, or talking to Miss Pavlova made him acutely tired. What? I got an achievement for that? Pillow perfectionist? What does that even mean? Okay, can I look at anything else over here? No. The wardrobe. My wardrobe. I was in there at the time, of course, sleeping soundly. Too soundly. How can anyone sleep in there? If only I hadn't eaten that chicken that was laced with the sleeping drug. If only he'd woken me up. Then maybe this tragedy would never have happened. Okay, so I mean, there's only 3 things that I could select here, which is the bed, the bell cord, or the wardrobe. Oh, that's not what I wanted to press.
Take that!
R. Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Ah. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment, I could use another opinion here. Another opinion. Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if, between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh no. Yeah, how do you feel now, Pavlova? Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova. I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did. And that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really. I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest. 9th January, 7:14 p.m., SS Buria, first class cabin passageway. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now, then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seaman Stroganoff? I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Duh. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes. I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. Plus, I mean, you were going with Kazuma to London to be with him while he studied there, and there's no point in going to London now. Or, I mean, I guess if he still wanted to go, but there's no not there's no point, I guess, but there's no reason for him to go now. I mean, he might still want to see London. So you should get back to your cabin now. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. To think that only days ago, Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we'd tear up the streets of London. Aww. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Susada-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hasanaga just told me I should pack. You know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over, just like that. Susada-san. Aw. He had such grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away. Just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain. But I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. Aw, Hasanaga. I've let everyone down. and I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. Well, I think he does. He blames himself. What? Why are the handcuffs back on? Huh? Ah ha 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 ha. Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo? Yeah, why did you put me back in handcuffs? What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Oh, okay. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry. So I decided to restore them. For old time's sake, shall we say? You are a stowaway, after all. Ah ha ha ha. Really? He thinks this is funny? Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port, in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? The late of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death? I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. I mean, I figured that would be the case. Oh no, I don't care for me, but... Poor Susada-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. Oh, right, Nosuke is gonna be the lawyer. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Susato? Yes. Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah. But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, I could be one. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? I could be. You don't know. I could be. No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there's still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study. To learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo, so we're gonna become a lawyer in a month? That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? Well, Kazuma did say that it actually wasn't that impressive that he was a lawyer because law and the legal system were still pretty new. I mean, as it was, you know, then being established with the courts and all that. And so he was saying it didn't take that much to become a lawyer. So maybe we could be a lawyer in 40 days. There's only one way to find out. Hey Rebecca, how are you? If you hadn't watched it earlier, the Uno mobile wildcard series, Lily Pichu won the Covenant Golden Uno card. Oh, I did not know that. Thanks for letting me know. And I'm good, Ben. How are you? Thanks for coming in. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. Aw. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Sasato? I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Wow, that word was a lot harder to say than I thought it would be. Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating. Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest. Give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. No? And also competing in the tournament were Valkyrie and Saikuno and Miyung. We're also competing in the Uno Mobile Wildcard Series, but they lost. I'm glad Lily won, but hope Valkyrie would have won. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't watch that, but it sounds fun. And I'm also hanging in there. I'm glad to hear that. You got any weekend plans, Ben? And you witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. Aw, that's nice of Sholmes. From the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Back that I was listening. I appreciate that, Francisco. I appreciate you listening. Welcome back. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Aw, wow, look at Sholmes giving us a compliment. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector, after all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? Oh, you know what I just thought of? I think what Kazuma wanted to do in Britain was... I think it had to do with the last case. Because that girl that killed the professor, she was British, and she was sent back to Britain. But we never found out why she killed the professor. So I think that's what Kazuma wanted to find out. I think that's the thing that he wanted to do. That he told Ryanosuke that there was something he had to do in Britain. I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And Mr. Naruhodo, I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. I think so too. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Sogi clan for generations. Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Miss Susato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. Okay. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? What? I should never have doubted you. You are Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. Oh, it's okay, Susato. I mean, you know, you were in shock of seeing, you know, him dead, and you don't know, like, I don't know, you never know what people can do. Like, people are capable of anything. You know, like, you don't know. Like, you have all these stories of, like, serial killers and, like, you know, people that keep their kids, like, locked up in the basement or something. But, I mean, these are real-life stories of people. And then, but you ask their, like, neighbors and friends and other family and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, I never would have thought, like, you know, he was the nicest guy or whatever. I never thought he was capable of doing that or whatever. I mean, so, like, anybody's capable of anything, I think. And then, like, if you put people in certain situations too, you don't know, like, people will do anything to survive. Like, I mean, like, some people are heroes, of course, but then, I don't know, I just don't think you could ever say, like, well, this person could never do that because they're not capable. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. That's what I just said. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door is locked from the inside. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Okay. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you, and not just once, but 5 times. Ha! That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. No. I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I don't know. I mean, he shows up in all over the place. I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling. Oh, well, in a way. It's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujutsu technique. Apparently it's called the Susato takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. Huh, how beguiling. So a 16-year-old girl took you down. I'm a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I am a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry. Yeah. Again. As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato squash. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karuma? That's right, it's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Sogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. Hey, Mega Man, hey! Thanks for coming in, how are you? I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely? A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryanosuke. It can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. He had it in the courtroom, too. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do, I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. Okay. So that was a really interesting episode because there was no court. It was just an investigation. So I'm actually kind of surprised that I finished episode 2 so quickly. Because I was expecting a court case to come up, but it didn't. Doing good, finished playing Rumbleverse with a friend. Nice. Humans are capable of some stuff. They definitely are. Okay, so I'm going to take a break here, and then I'm going to start episode 3. Adventure of the Runaway Room. Okay, so I'll be right back. Probably won't be online too much longer, maybe like a half hour to an hour and a half. But I will at least start the 3rd episode. So the episode 2 is actually a lot quicker than I expected. But it was good. It was really good. So I will be right back. It was fun. I like the vibe. I'm so happy to hear that, Francisco. I love these games. Or, well, I haven't played this one, but I love like the Ace Attorney games. I've played the Phoenix Wright games, and I love those. I love like puzzle games. I love stuff like this because it's fun, like, because you know it's a game, it's a video game, but it's also very like challenging. It's like very intellectually challenging, you know, like you have to really figure things out. Okay, so oh wait, we don't want to save. We want to go back. Okay, so we have how many episodes? We've got 5 episodes. So let's see, how long did this episode take me? Because you know what? I thought the first episode was like absurdly long. It took me like, I want to say like 6.5 hours. Yeah, so it took me like 6.5 hours to finish the first case, which is like really weirdly long for a first case. And then let's see, so I started about, I guess I did like about an hour in that first stream when I started episode 2, and then 4 hours just episode 2 in the next stream. So 5 hours, and then it's been almost 2 hours since I started stream. So I guess the second case was like 6 to 7 hours, which I'm surprised it did not feel like that long. Maybe it's because that we never did like the case portion of it, and so I was just kind of like waiting for it. So I still kept thinking, oh, it's early on in the case because we still have to get to the court part. So maybe that's why. Cool, you like Jonathan Blow's games. Oh, what are those? I've never heard of those. Okay, let's start with the third episode. Adventure of the Runaway Room. Looks like we might be in London now.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident,
I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude.
the beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together.
So I see we're going to be working with Herlock Sholmes again.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I would love to go to London someday.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure.
I guess they speak English now.
I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
February, 9:21 a.m. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice. Justice's office. Okay, so the first case took place in November, and then the second episode took place in January, so there's not that much time that passed. But in the first episode, like Kazuma, Ryan Isuke, and Sasato. Well, I don't know about Sasato, but like neither of them spoke English because that British girl took the stand and they couldn't understand what she was saying. He makes super smart puzzle games. He's featured in a documentary called Indie Games, the movie. Some people think he's a genius. He says games are the future of education and science. Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to look up that documentary. But I mean, honestly, like, I agree with him. Like, I think that playing games, I think people really underestimate how playing games can make you more intelligent, because I definitely learned a lot of things from playing games. I learned like reading really quickly and having to like absorb information really quickly, and then being able to memorize things very quickly too. Being able to learn things like super fast and having to memorize like controls, button combinations, things like that. And then just like challenging yourself. Like if I come across a boss that I can't beat, I have to just keep at it over and over until I beat the boss, right? So it taught me like persuasion. And then games like this, like puzzle games, they challenge you intellectually. Like you just saw, like we went through a whole investigation that was very well written. And then I talk about my thought process all the time. Like I say what I'm thinking and trying to figure these things out. And I mean, they really, you really have to use observation skills, and you have to remember the past facts of the things that you've learned about that case. So, I mean, it's really interesting, I think. But these games aren't for everybody. Me too. London, France, Japan, and South Korea. Yeah, I would love to go to all those places. I also will have to make it to China and Hong Kong someday because I'm Chinese. And my dad's from Hong Kong. So, gotta go make it there at least. I mean, if I'm gonna go visit like an Asian country, I gotta visit the one that my family's from. I've never been there because I was born in the United States. So like people always just like assume I was born in China, but I've never even been there. I get the like, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, I was born and raised in Massachusetts, so I'll be like, oh, Massachusetts. And people do the whole like, no, like, I mean, like, where are you from? Like, where are you really from? I'm like, that's where I'm really from. And they're like, no, like, where were you born? I'm like, still Massachusetts, but what they really are asking is like, what's your ethnicity? What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This is a pretty cool office though. It's like in a clock tower. Like, see this background and then these giant gears? So I've been watching a lot of Smallville, and Oliver Queen, Green Arrow, he appears in it, and he's got an apartment that's in a clock tower, and it's so cool. I always love that look. And then in Gotham, one of the characters had like also a clock tower apartment. It was so cool. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course, but they've only been built in a few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. Yeah, you know what? I always wondered that about Japan, like how they have the like paper and wooden doors. I'm like, how does that stand up against the weather though? It's certainly unfamiliar. But I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time. If circumstances were different, we were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. But Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity. as envoys to report the news of Kasuma-sama's death. Yes. Right. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So, we'd have to return to Japan. Okay, wait, what happened to the whole plan with Ryanosuke becoming a lawyer? If we want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for the study tour. Yeah, wasn't that the whole plan that we just talked about? Yes, which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer, which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So, that's the second reason why we're here, to have you officially recognized as a lawyer. Oh, okay. So, we are putting the plan in place. Got it. Okay. Let's save here. It's the only way we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Ah, good morning. Sorry for keeping you. Oh, he's very, regal looking. Oh. I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan? It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We are never happier when we're standing around with nothing much to do. Me neither. He looks like a Final Fantasy character. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Mael Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. His name also sounds like a Final Fantasy character. Ugh, and I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot. Come on, Mr. Naruhodo, don't be a mouse. Oh, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryanosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. I guess we speak fluent English now. Well, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Ah, yes, thank you. Okay, let's look around. Look at these menacing metal giants facing each other across the room. I believe they're suits of armor. Oh, right. I get that too. People think I'm Indian. I'm Hispanic and black. Hong Kong and China have great films. I love Kung Fu Hustle. Oh, me too. Yeah. And I love, like the martial arts films too. Like Hero. That's Chinese, right? I'm gonna look that up before I, like, embarrass myself. Or like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yeah, that's a Chinese film. So Hero with Jet Li. I love that movie. My dad loves those movies too, and like Jet Li movies, he loves those. I thought maybe they were like the lion dogs we have in Japan guarding shrine gates. Yeah, Jet Li was in Hero. Yeah, that was a great movie. I don't think I've ever seen a Bruce Lee movie, actually. No, not at all. In fact, in Europe, suits of armor like these are always possessed by evil spirits, you know? What? Always? And they roam around in the middle of the night. Really? Is there nothing you don't know, Miss Susato? I mean, she didn't know that. I mean, she's looking it up in her book. This book tells me everything I need to know about everything. If you're ever unsure, just ask. Where did she get that incredible tome? I mean, it seems like a pretty small book to tell you everything about everything. Okay, can't look at the gears. Is this some kind of clock? Actually, I think we might be inside some sort of giant clock. But these gears are larger than anything you'd find on a steam locomotive, even. It's eerie. Do you think clocks are some sort of hobby of his? The Lord Chief Justice, I mean? It's eerie? What? I think it's cool. Well, boys do enjoy fiddling around with machines, don't they? My friends in high school loved those films. Iron Monkey, Drunken Master, Shaolin Soccer. Oh, yeah. I don't think I've seen any of those, but Kung Fu Hustle was great. I'm not sure you could fiddle with cogs that size, and I'm certain you couldn't call him a boy. Still, it's amazing how little noise the cogs make, considering how large they are. I do love Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and then what was the next film? House of Flying Daggers. That one wasn't as good though. There's actually something quite soothing about their precise rhythm. This must be the Lord Chief Justice's desk. I believe it's made of marble. It looks more like an over-the-top tombstone that's toppled over to me. What? Ryonosuke? Like, what is your problem? I think that's your fanciful imagination at work again, Mr. Naruhodo. It feels like everything that's normally made of wood and paper at home is made of bricks and stone here. I know, that's why this place feels so overbearing, I'm sure. Just look at all the naughty books packed together on these shelves. They go from floor to ceiling. And they're all books that you couldn't hope to come by in Japan. It's like a dream. Yes, a very bad dream. They're not all about British law either. There are books about the judicial system of other Western nations. France, Germany, Spain, Holland. What about Russia? Why do you ask? I think you know why. I was wondering about asking the Lord Chief Justice about how you... I was wondering about asking the Lord Chief Justice how you say wardrobe in Russian. What do you think? I think perhaps it's a thought best abandoned. Yeah, why would you want to bring that up? Okay, there's nothing over there. And nothing over here. Okay, so we'll go back to talking to... what was his name? Male Strongheart? So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Okay, let's look at his profile. Oh, what's this? Armband. An armband I inherited from Kazuma. It identifies the wearer as a defense lawyer throughout the Empire of Japan. Huh. I wonder if this was a real thing. These are the scales of justice. They're a symbol of the defense, aren't they? Oh yeah, I remember him wearing this in... I remember Kazuma wearing this in the first case. Because I was saying like, oh look, there's the scales of justice on his arm. Yes, that's right. The scales are a symbol of fairness to show that all are treated equally in the eyes of the law. And they're a warning to those who enter the courtroom without an impartial mind. But if they're the mark of the defense, it would be more auspicious if they were weighing more heavily on the not guilty side, I think. Very impartial, I'm sure. The lawyer's name is embroidered on the inside here, look. Kazuma Sogi. This was his band, of course. He had his heart set on the study tour in Great Britain. Aw. I'm sure he would have found the truth he longed for here. But he lost his life before he even had the chance to see the place. I have such a strong sense of his hopes and dreams when I look at this armband, though. Aw. We'll make you proud, Kazuma. I promise. Susato Mikotoba, a judicial assistant sent to Britain on a study tour. She's the epitome of a refined Japanese lady and a huge help to me always. Okay, so the description of her has changed a little bit. I don't think it used to say sent to Britain and then but it said before she's the epitome of a refined Japanese lady, but it didn't always say a huge help to me always. Male Strongheart, 52. Wow, he's 52? He doesn't look it. The Lord Chief Justice, who wields absolute authority in judicial matters, including the appointment of lawyers. He's a thoroughly intimidating man. I mean, if he is the Lord Chief Justice, I should think so. But he's intimidating. And, like, very strict, probably. Oh, well, help. I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city. Simply splendid. Isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh? We had a wonderful view of some of London's streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. 52-year-old silver fox. Yeah, right? I mean, I guess he's got like, his hair is like white or gray, I guess, but I thought it was blonde. So I guess I thought he was younger. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. Oh yes, astounded is the word. Thanks for saving me there, Susada-san. And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor. Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming great exhibition we will be hosting here in London. Great exhibition? Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It'll be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and we will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Great Britain's capital is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world, even if you do say so yourself. I feel like Brian Isuke is not impressed with London so far. The sun will never set on our great empire. Perhaps it is fate in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for the study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. A Mr. Kazuma Asogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived. My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news? Yes. Well, not exactly, though. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me you Japanese are a people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. I mean, from what I hear, they still are. Definitely a people of protocol and courtesy. From what I see of Japan, it looks like an amazing country. Like, they have so much technology, it's just crazy. I see these like TikToks and videos on YouTube of Japan, and the stuff they have there is insane. Like the vending machines they have, they sell all kinds of stuff that you can get in the vending machine. And then I see these like ramen shops where you don't even interact with anybody. Like, you go into this tiny little booth and then you pick, like, there's like a tablet in there that you order off of, and then there's somebody that comes and like hands you the food, that gives you the food that you ordered, but they put it through this like tiny little window where you can only see their hands. So you're just like by yourself the whole time. You don't even talk to anybody. And it is with some regret I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means the study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If you just hear us out, Lord Strongheart. What do you have to say, madam? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal. Japan has all the cool video game related stuff. Yeah, I saw, like, so Valkyrae and like a bunch of those big streamers, they went to Japan recently, and she did a bunch of vlogs, and I watched one where they went to like a Pokemon, like this big Pokemon themed shop. It was so cool. And it had a little cafe too, but they said the food wasn't really that good, but it was really cute. And the Disguised Toast also did this, well, it's not video game related, but he did a really interesting video where he went to this like fruit shop in Japan, and he got this like super expensive fruit. He bought a mango for like $100 or something. and he said it was a really good mango, but they just seem to have like insane stuff. And I had a coworker that went to Japan, and she took a ton of pictures, and there was like this really cool like giant robot. And I want to see like the cat cafes and like the maid cafes too. Woody now. Well, Mr. Naruhodo. And then don't they have like, let me look it up, but don't they have like a Nintendo Land or something? Yeah, Super Nintendo World. It's at Universal Japan. Yeah, I mean, Japan just seems like an insanely cool country. This is it then, the moment of truth. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead. Don't misunderstand me, Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead, but without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, okay, I feel like I should save here. I feel like I'm going to be asked some stuff where I need to save just in case. Yes, I love Nintendo. So do I. What if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean. Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country, and that was Mr. Asogi. At least that is what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man. Mr. Naruhodo. I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I gonna say? If there's someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's... Actually, there's no one. It's Miss Susato. It's me. Okay, so clearly the correct answer is it's me. It's me. I can do it. Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but... No qualifications, you say, and yet you still claim to be a lawyer? I have acted as a lawyer in court before. That's true. Only once, as it happens. And I had Kazuma to help me, and I was the accused. But glossing over the details, I mean, that makes it even more impressive. Like, he was his own lawyer, and he wasn't even studying law. I guess he did have Kazuma to help him, but he did it mostly himself. That's what Kazuma told us at the end. He was like, oh, I just kind of got you started, but you did everything yourself. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Buria. The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. Okay, well, I mean, Kazuma wouldn't have had that either. I'm back. Welcome back, Tiny Tina. How are you? Isn't it really early for you? I guess you're always up this late. Chris Broad is my favorite YouTuber who covers Japan from a foreign perspective. Oh, cool. I'll have to look him up. I love Japanese stuff. I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Asogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on the study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance, that's all I'm asking for. Please. 31 seconds. Sorry. Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo, is 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks. So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? Well, let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes. You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path? Whoops, forgot that was still on. What? Were you typing in Japanese? What does that say, Tiny Tina? Well, yes, that's my intention. I see. Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden? Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you. Really? I mean, isn't everything entirely up to somebody if they pass or fail? I mean, you can only do so much for people. You know, like, you can tell them everything they want to know, and you can like teach them or try to teach them everything, but really it's up to them in the end. It says I was enjoying a live stream and I forgot to come back. Okay. I mean, well, you didn't forget to come back. You're here now. Oh, well, is that Japanese? So that's what it says? I was enjoying a live stream and you forgot to come back? So what form will the test take exactly? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be? Well, defending people, of course. I mean, unless you're a prosecutor. Well, Ted, so let's have you defend someone. Huh? Your timing's perfect, in fact. There's an app trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will be welcome news. Today? I am and I feel happy. I'm so glad you're happy, Tiny Tina. Straight away. If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. Wait. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. But what if the person is guilty? Like, the purpose of a prosecutor is not to just get a guilty verdict, and the purpose of a defense lawyer is not just to get a guilty or a not guilty verdict, it's to determine what the truth is. Although, I mean, I know that's not, like, realistic, because, like, everyone's trying to win cases, but I mean, like, what if the person really is guilty? Although, we do know in these games, your client is always innocent, but still, you know, like, it's like, he said the test is to find the person not guilty. But how does he know the person is not guilty? What could be simpler? How do I get myself into these situations? Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart? Yes, good question. Ah, I remember. It's a murder trial. Of course it is. It's always a murder trial. I don't think, in the Phoenix Wright games, I don't think there was anything that was not a murder trial. I was watching another Japanese guy and I was chatting to him, made him laugh that I died 300 times and cried in a corner with a broken controller. That made him laugh that you cried? I mean, it's not very nice to laugh at somebody else's misery, is it? A murderer? An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose. That's easy to say. But I should mention, just in case, if the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment. Capital punishment? He'll be put to death? Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably you read that much in your short C-based introduction to British law? After dying in Elden Ring, ah. Yeah, I've heard Elden Ring is one of those games where you die many, many times. We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life. If you want to go into law, I mean, wouldn't you be doing that anyway? I mean, you might not be sending people to their death, to like their executions, but you could be putting them in jail for life. I'm the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose. Oh, okay. So the defendant may live or die depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged. Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen. He's testing my resolve. What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be? What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? I mean... Okay, well, first we're gonna say it, but we're gonna have to. Elden Ring was created by the creator of Dark Souls. It's legendary for its hardness. Yeah, I know the Dark Souls games. I never played any of them. I tried Bloodborne, but I didn't really get into it. But I didn't get very far. I don't know. I just like, those kinds of games don't really appeal to me because, like, if it's too difficult, I won't be having fun anymore. And then the purpose of video games is to have fun. And so if I'm not having fun anymore, then what's the point? Well, gotta go a short comeback. See you soon. It's almost 6 a.m. later than usual. All right, Tiny Tina, thanks for coming in. See you next time. All right then, if I have to give you a decision now, my answer is I can't do it. I can't get the words out. 15 seconds. Your decision-making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. Okay, so no matter what I said, it would have ended up in the same thing, I think. So, it's as I suspected, is it? Sorry. You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire a ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naruhodo? I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but what could I do? It's alright. I understand. You do? It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it. What are you trying to say, madam? I think what Miss Susato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day. But for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. And of course, this is the thing that will make him change his mind. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, was there something else? It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time. But I just said that I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him. What? At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down. But that's awful. But that is the truth. Why does it have to be like this? Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you. I'm really his only hope? So, what do you say now, madam? Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve. Oh. Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves. He's gone. The Old Bailey. If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. Miss Susato, can I just ask you something? Careful, from this position, I can perform a Susato takedown in an instant. I know. Mr. Naruhodo, you heard Lord Strongheart. This trial starts imminently. If I need to throw you, I will. You know, you could just say, I think we should hurry to the courtroom. If you need to ask me anything, it had better wait until we're at the Old Bailey. Okay, so... already investigated these. What to do? Miss Susato, can I just ask you something? Careful, from this position, I can perform a Susato takedown in an instant. I know. Mr. Naruhodo, you heard Lord Strongheart. The trial starts imminently. If I need to throw you, I will. You know, you could just say, I think we should hurry to the courtroom. If you need to ask me anything, it had better wait until we're at the Old Bailey. Okay, so... it's always going to be the same thing. So... did we get anything more in the court record? No. Okay. So, I think this is gonna wait till next time. I will go to the Old Bailey next time and we will do that trial that Lord Strongheart asked us to do, but for now, I'm going to end it there. But I do think that I made some pretty good progress. I finished the 2nd episode, started the 3rd episode. It's gonna be a short stream tonight because I started really late and I also don't want to kill my voice by reading all the text here, so I'm gonna end it there. I may be on tomorrow night, I'm not sure. I'll post it on Twitter and Discord and stuff. Sunday night I probably won't be live because I've got some really early meetings on Monday morning for work. But I might be on Monday night, and Tuesday night I won't be able to be on, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are possible days. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a schedule yet, but I do always post it on Twitter and Discord, so if you ever, want to know when I'm live, you can always ask me there. Okie dokie, glad to have found your channel. Peace out. I appreciate that, Francisco. I'm glad you found my channel as well. Come join me next time. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next stream or video. Bye.